everybody, how's it going? This is Darrin with GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson, and today I want to show you how to play three cool ZZ Top riffs. These aren't too terribly difficult to play, and they are in just standard tuning. So I know a lot of Billy Gibbons stuff, he does like open tunings and stuff like that, but these are variations that so you can play this in standard. So I'm not 100% sure if these ones originally are in an open tuning or not, but this is just the way that I play the riffs. So be sure to click on the link in the description for the tabs, and let's get close up and take a look. All right, so the first one we're going to look at is La Grange. So for this one, I'm using a hybrid picking technique for this because on this one part of the riff that you want to play it with your fingers. So if you're new and you've never really done hybrid picking before, it might be easier to just play it with your fingers. But what I'm doing basically is I'm barring the second fret of the D and G string with my first finger, and I'm holding the guitar pick, just with my thumb and first finger, and that leaves my second and third fingers free. So I'm using my second finger to pluck the fourth string, and my third finger to pluck the third string. So for this, the timing on it, it's all eighth notes. So we've got one and then we rest on the downbeat of 2, and then pluck that again on the and of 2, rest on the downbeat of 3, pluck this on the and of 3, rest on the downbeat of 4, and on the and of 4. So, and then so that's the first measure. So on the second measure, we rest on the downbeat of 1, and then on the and of 1, we hit that chord again. The downbeat of 2, we rest. And then I'm going to bring my pinky up here to the 5th fret of the D string, and I'm going to play on the downbeat of, on the and of 2, I'm going to play the open A string, and then on the downbeat of 3, I'm going to play the open A string plus the 5th fret of the D string, back to the open A string, and then we're going to bring that pinky up so it's on the 5th fret of the G string, and we're going to hit the D and G string together, back to the A string. So that's the second measure. And then on the downbeat of the third measure, we're going to do that same where we're on the, our fourth finger is still on the 5th fret of the G string. And we're going to play that and the D string together, but we're going to do a slight quarter step bend on that G string, and then release that back to just to the where we started with fretting the second fret of the D and the G string, and then that just kind of repeats. Just like that. So it just repeats, and if you listen on the original song, it just kind of repeats that, and then he just kind of changes around rhythmically where he throws stuff in there. So that's basically it. The riff's somewhat repetitive. But it's a pretty cool riff, and it's a good one to work with your hybrid picking. Alright, so the next one I'm going to look at is Sharp Dressed Man. So for this one, we're going to come all the way up here to the 8th fret of the low E, and we've just got a C5 power chord. So I'm on the 8th fret of the low E with my first finger, the 10th fret of the A with my third finger, and the 10th fret of the D string with my fourth finger. So with this, we've got, it's made up of 8th notes for the most part. So this is like 1 and... Then you're going to keep that first finger where it is, and we're going to bring our third and fourth finger up a set of strings. So we're still on the 10th fret, but now our third finger is on the D string and our fourth finger is on the G string. And we're just going to strum that. That's another power chord, but instead of being a fifth, it's a fourth. This is F5 over C. And then we follow that with the low E string. Now, when you come back to that, if you hit the chord again, that would be fine too. So. Then we're going to take our third and fourth finger off, and our first finger, we've got it here. We're going to bar it, so we're picking up the 8th fret of the D and the G string. And then we're going to come back to the 10th fret of the A and D string, and then follow that with the 8th fret of the low E. So that's like the first measure. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, so moving on to the second measure, we go back up and move our third and fourth finger back up again, so we're on the the D and G strings at the 10th fret, and then down to the 8th fret again where your first finger is barred, then the low E, and back to the 10th fret of the A and D string again, like the power chord. Then, this is probably one of the harder parts of it, well, coming from this back into the main riff. So we're going to come all the way down to the 3rd fret of the low E, and then we're going to go to the 1st fret of the A string, and we're going to pick that and slide, and these are 16th notes. So, and then back up to here, and then the whole riff starts over again. So we got. And then the last we want to look at is Riff from Tush. So for this one, we're going to come down, you're going to start off with your first finger on the 3rd fret of the low E. And then we're going to kind of do similar like we did in Sharp Dressed Man, but we're going to do it down here. So your first finger is going to be here on the 3rd fret of the low E, and then your 3rd finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the D string, and your 4th finger is on the 5th fret of the G string. Now you want to bar your first finger, so that way, because we're going to move this down to the 3rd fret, and we just want to do that just by barring our first finger. So that's like the first measure. So we hit the low E twice, palm muted, and then that 5th fret of the D and G string. Back to the 3rd fret of the low E, and then back to the D and G strings at the 5th fret, to the 3rd fret, and then back to the 3rd fret of the low E. So that's like the first measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then on the second measure, we go back to that 5th fret again, 5th fret down to the 3rd fret. So far. Then we're going to come down to the 1st fret on the low E, and we're going to pick this on the and of 4 of the second measure and slide to the 3rd fret, which will be the downbeat of 1 on the 3rd measure. And then on the and of 1, we hit that again, and then the riff basically just repeats. so there you have it. Three somewhat simple but really cool, recognizable riffs from ZZ Top. Now, like I said before, I'm sure that I'm not sure about. I'm pretty sure La Grange is just in standard tuning. At least that's the way I've always played it, and I've never really seen anybody do it otherwise. But I have seen people do like Tush and like an open tuning, and I've heard people talk about that. Sharp Dressed Man is also originally done in an open tuning, but I just kind of wanted to do this way, so that way you don't have to mess around with that, and it's just a fun riff that you can play just in standard tuning, and they have things in there that are going to be good for you, good practice to, work on timing and muting and just, articulation between the strings and everything. So if you like this lesson, be sure to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you have any questions about this or other guitar-related topics. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that we upload throughout the week. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for watching and have a great day.